The Red Death. The Red Death had killed thousands of people. No disease had ever been so terrible. There were sharp pains and sudden fainting, and heavy bleeding through the skin. Death came in half an hour. Red marks on the body and especially on the face separated the sufferer from all help and sympathy, and as soon as these signs appeared, all hope was lost. But Prince Prospero was happy and brave and wise. When half of his people died, he called together 1,000 of his lords and ladies, all cheerful and in good health, and with these he went to live in his most distant castle. The immense building and its land were surrounded by a strong wall. This wall had gates of iron. The lords and their families, having entered, heated and melted the locks of the gates, and made sure that no key would ever open them again. The castle, which no one would enter or leave, was well provided with food, safe from dangers of disease. The world outside could take care of itself. Inside, it was foolish to worry or think. The prince had planned a life of pleasure. There were actors and musicians, there were beautiful things, there was wine. All these and safety were inside. Outside was the Red Death. The court had been perhaps 5 or 6 months at the castle, and the death had reached its height beyond the walls. When Prince Prospero entered his 1,000 friends at an unusually grand masked dance. 7 of the best rooms at the castle were specially arranged for the dance. These rooms were irregularly placed in one corner of the building with sharp turns between them, so that it was hardly possible to see into more than one at a time. Each of the rooms were painted and decorated in different colors, and the windows of the colored glass to match the room. The room at the eastern end was colored in blue, and its windows were bright blue. The second room was purple, and here the glass was purple. The third was all in green, and the fourth in yellow, and the fifth in orange, and the sixth in white. The seventh room was completely black, but its windows were different. There were only ones that did not match the color of the room. The glass here was a deep red, the color of blood. Now there were no lamps or lights inside any of these rooms, but outside of each of the colored windows fires had been lit, and the flames produced strange and beautiful patterns in the rooms. In the black room, through the effort of the firelight that shone through the red glass was terrible in extreme. Few of the company were brave enough to enter his room. In this seventh room, too, a great clock of black wood stood against the western wall. Whenever the time came for this clock to strike the hour, it produced a sound which was clear and loud and deep and very musical, but of such a strange note that musicians stopped their playing to listen to it. So the dancing was interrupted, and there were a few moments of confusion among the happy company. Then, when the last stroke had ended, a light laughter broke out. The musicians looked at each other and smiled at their own foolishness, saying that they would certainly not allow the striking of the clock to interrupt their music at the next hour. But 60 minutes later there would be another pause, and the same discomfort and confusion as before. In spite of these things, it was a cheerful party. There were beautifully and originality in the dresses of the ladies, and much that was bright and imaginative in the clothing of the lords. Although there were some who appeared frightening, the masked dancers moved between 7 rooms like figures in a dream. They moved in time to the music and changed colors as they passed from one room into the next. It was noticeable that as the evening passed, fewer and fewer went near the 7th room, the black room, with its blood red windows. At last, the great clock in his room began to strike the hour of midnight, and then the music stopped. As I have said, and the dancers stood still, and there were a feeling of discomfort among them all. Before the last of 12 strokes had sounded, several of them thoughtful dancers had noticed in a crowd a masked figure whom no one had seen before. His appearance caused a whisper of surprise that grew quickly into the cries of fear and annoyance, of terror. The figure was tall and thin, dressed from head to foot in wrappings of the grey. The mask which covered his face made to look so that of a skull that even the closest examination might not easily have proved its faults. But the company present did not really object to any of this. Their annoyance and fear came from the fact that the stranger was dressed as the Red Death. His clothes were spotted with blood, and across his whole face were red marks of death. When the eyes of Prince Prospero fell on this terrible figure which walked slowly among the dancers, his face reddened with anger. "Who's there?" he demanded loudly of the lords and ladies who stood near him. "Who dares insult us in this way? Seize him and tear off the mask, so that we may know whom we have to hang at sunrise." The prince was standing in the western or blue room, and as he said these words with a group of particular friends by his side. At first there was a slight movement of this group towards the strange figure, whom at the moment was also near, but no one would put a hand to seize him. He walked without anyone stopping him, past the prince, through the blue room, to the purple, through the purple to the green, through the green to the yellow, through this again to orange, and even from there into the white room, before any firm movement was made to stop him. Then Prince Prospero, angry and ashamed at his own fear, rushed hurriedly through the 6 rooms, pulling out his sword as he went. The figure had reached the western wall of the 7th, the black room. When he turned suddenly towards the prince, there was a sharp cry, and the sword fell to the floor. Immediately after, Prince Prospero fell dead. Then, with a courage brought on the sense of hopelessness, a crowd of lords threw themselves on the stranger, who stood silent and still in the shadow of a great black cloak. They tore at the mask of death and bloody clothing, then stepped back trembling with fear. There was no human form or body to be seen. The mask and the clothes were empty, and now they came that they were in the presence of the Red Death. He had come like a thief in the night, and by one the dancers dropped and died in those halls of pleasure. The black clock struck again and stopped, and the flames of the fires died out, and the darkness and the decay and the Red Death ruled all over. I hope you enjoyed my short story, The Red Death. Please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more videos and more stories.